Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to another episode of my F1 23 My Team Career Mode. This is episode number 84 today for the Canadian Grand Prix in Season 5. If you guys did miss the previous one, then be sure to go check that one out before you see the rest of this one, as it was a very messy Grand Prix. Bit of a dramatic one in the sprint with a huge AI mistake and collision that ended Leclerc's race early for Mercedes. Unfortunately for us, we had already sustained some damage with a bit of contact with our championship rival Yuki Tsunoda. It meant we decided to tactically take engine penalties and start from the back of the grid. And considering how messy the entire race weekend was, because we didn't have the smoothest time in the race either, so one of you commented below, to say that we still got P6 is actually pretty successful, because it really wasn't one of my finest weekends ever in terms of confidence in the car, diving, for overtakes. There's a lot of hesitancy there, and we did quite well to limit the damage. But unfortunately, whilst I was limiting the damage, there was still some pretty hefty damage dealt by Yuki Tsunoda, who went on for a dominant win around the Belgium Grand Prix. So Yuki Tsunoda in the Aston Martin Honda leads the way in the Drivers' Championship. Aston Martin Honda get their second 1-2 of the season, which is pretty ominous. 2 1-2s in the last 3 races. Yeah, myself and Porsche, we need to buck up. Yes, I did win the Italian Grand Prix 2 episodes just gone, but if you look at the other results, a 9-5, a 6-11, my 1 to Porsche's 6, both of us need to, be scoring better, unless we want this massive pressure from Aston Martin, which obviously we don't. And so to that effect, in the last part this season, with 4 races to go, I know some of you have been asking about it, we are finally going to purchase the final engine development hurdle, because of course, if you're new around here and you forgot, we built our own engine from scratch over the course of Season 3. We paid in 50 million, 12,000 R&D points to build our own engine with Lamborghini for last season, Season 4. We're here now in Season 5, which is 2027, and we unlocked some development hurdles that we also purchased last season, but there was one remaining, and we've now gone ahead and spent 5 million and 1,000 R&D points to go ahead and purchase the extra MGUK power. So I'm hoping for the last 4 races, that is going to be an aid to myself and Porsche for the Constructors' Championship, and will obviously give us both equal power in our own individual fight against Tsunoda, against each other, remember. But after a few unfortunate qualifyings and races for Porsche getting stuck in traffic, he is a little bit further away from myself and Tsunoda, as myself and the Japanese driver are the ones closest to one another. And we come now to the Canadian Grand Prix, which, if you've been with me for a while, you'll know is one of my favourite circuits in real-life Formula 1 and on the game. It's a track I've always gone well at, so I'm hoping for some good performances, and I'm hoping that extra MGUK power, which is basically just going to be overall, the battery gives us more power, the engine is producing more power, basically. I'm hoping that will help us. At a circuit like Canada, we've got Mexico coming up. Well and truly, this upgrade comes at a very good time for this race and next. But at the moment, Tsunoda is still looking pretty quick. P1 there for Aston Martin. He's obviously off on a high from 2 wins in the last 3 races. And unfortunately, I'm hitting some massive marbles. They've returned. They're pretty shocking at Bahrain, we saw earlier in the season. And they're pretty awful at turn 1 here in Montreal as well. But eventually, we're finding our feet. We go P1 in Q2. Porsche only P8, but I think there's still some time to find for him. But we've got good company with both Aston Martins through Zhou Guanyu and Tsunoda. Both Ferraris, though, showing that they are on this upward trajectory and they're genuinely getting better. Verstappen P2, Russell P5. Leclerc's managed to get the Mercedes into Q3, which shows still he's doing the business for Mercedes versus Bottas. Mick Schumacher having been dropped by Ferrari. Again, like in Austria, doing quite well there. P10 for Williams, and then Drugovich dragging the Haas in, as well as Gasly in the top 10 with Audi. but a nice selection of different cars. I'm hoping that we won't have to matter about any of them, that we can maybe try and go on for another P1 in this session. But it's not the best first lap as a banker lap. We're down in P7, but we've gone purple in the first sector. I think this will be just about a green in the second sector. You know, we're about 4/10 up. The checkered flag has fallen into the hairpin. We lock the rear. Little bit of drift and slide, but we still managed to gain time, actually, as we slide through the final 2 corners as well. We go 6.5 tenths quicker, nearly, just about, and we do bag the pole position at the Canadian Grand Prix. Man, I love Montreal. I absolutely love the Canadian Grand Prix circuit, and look at that. Look at that. We purchased the final engine development hurdle. You know, it was a long time coming. You know, how much money we had to funnel in for that PU development in Season 3 and compromise that season, Season 4, and here Season 5. The fruits of our labour as we bring that final engine power upgrade, and we go 1-2. Porsche second place. What more can you ask for? But Tsunoda's still pretty solid, P5, but Ferrari are definitely there. But Aston don't look too bad. P5, P7. It's going to be a very interesting Grand Prix. Let's go to the grid.
Montreal is not only the second largest French-speaking city in the world, but it's home since 1978 to the Canadian Grand Prix. The name Villeneuve looms large over this one, but who can write their own legends today? We'll be seeing top speeds of around 210 miles per hour here at the circuit Gilles Villeneuve, with around 2/3 of the lap taken at full throttle. High-speed chicanes spell potential danger, especially the infamous Wall of Champions, and watch out for overtaking into the hairpin and that final chicane. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. It's the owner-driver then in pole position, and Théo Pourchaire completes the front row. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Verstappen, Russell, Tsunoda, Gasly, Joe, Leclerc, Mick Schumacher, Drugovich, Ocon, Liam Lawson, Bottas, Oscar Piastri, Ricciardo, Albon, Sainz, Fittipaldi, Sargent, Norris, Magnussen, and Sergio Perez completes our grid. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today.
I think this is going to be a very important race for myself and Pourchaire. We're both on the front row. Obviously, he's had a tougher time of things in the recent races. He's looking to bounce back a bit, and he's not quite got that pole position magic that he had at the start of the season. But, of course, he's come up against myself at my favourite circuit. But I think he's going to be raring to go for this one, and I have a feeling this is going to be a real toe-to-toe scrap between us two, as we're both also on the hard compounded tyre. Like I did in Spa, myself and Pourchaire are starting on the hardest compound, looking to go longer in the race and hoping that it pays dividends later on. But as we line up for the grid, I'm left confused at what on earth we are waiting for. Is the guys at the back take a little while to form up, but even once they do, I thought, okay, we're going to get towards 5 red lights. But I don't know who's fallen asleep in the marshal post up there for the FIA, but we're all just sat here. I mean, it does bring the tension up a little bit more as the engines just tick over as we wait and we wait. And we wait, and finally, we are going to get going to 5 red lights. The Canadian Grand Prix is underway from the front row. Myself and Pourchaire get underway pretty damn decently. Pourchaire with a little bit of a better exit to try and go around the outside at turn 1, but we're able to defend, and instead, Pourchaire has to contend with a feisty Max Verstappen in the Ferrari, who gets up into second place. That's big for us. That's big for Pourchaire to lose second place, but Verstappen is already now maybe on the back of us. Is he? Look at it, look at the mirrors. He was darting around left and right. He's obviously on a quicker compounded tyre, and that's giving him the initial traction here in the opening lap. It's going to take some time for these hard tyres to become the better race compound, and meanwhile, Max Verstappen with a dive down the inside. He gives us absolutely no room to work with. A kamikaze dive from the Dutchman, and that Ferrari went all the way to the white line, all the way to the curb. If I kept my foot in there, there would have been a crash. I would have been pushed off. Instead, we are forced into avoiding action, and that's what Verstappen loves to do. You're either going to have a crash with him, or you give him the position, and we've had to give up the position, and unfortunately give up the position to Pourchaire. But can we get him back as we move from the right to left? Pourchaire, very defensive. We give him a lot of room. We're very respectful in the fight there with Teo there, I must say, into the final corner. I could have gone a lot more aggressive, but I want to make sure we have a clean fight versus Pourchaire, versus Tsunoda as well, who gets in amongst us. The Aston Martin side by side with us. Tsunoda's arrived. He's overtaken Russell. So you've got the three championship protagonists all together. Verstappen out in the lead, setting a purple lap time now on onto 3. But Pourchaire now goes purple. So he started to speed up, showing the hard tyre has already got a bit of pace about it. But we can't let this actually go on. At my favourite circuit, Pourchaire is going quicker and showing us up in race conditions. And it's going to continue for now, because on lap 4, we're massively under pressure from Tsunoda, who pulls out for a big dive at the hairpin. Once again, I'm forced to take some avoiding action, because the way Tsunoda cut the curb and actually went so deep into the corner, again, if I'd kept my normal racing line, there would have been a bit of contact there. So I think almost after the last Grand Prix, I think everyone's kind of sussed out at the moment that I don't have the ultimate confidence in the car, and that they can just go for it and be super aggressive and basically bully me out of positions, as we now see Russell fighting Tsunoda. This is good news for us, as the Ferrari and Aston Martin Honda side by side, they make a bit of contact through turns 2, as Russell gets round the outside. The Ferrari's in P4. That's good for us, because that keeps Tsunoda at bay. But what's not great news is this. On lap 6, Teo Pourchaire is going for the lead of the race, and he's got the lead of the race. Up into first place the Frenchman goes, but he locks up. He goes deep, and Verstappen is coming back at him. This is a titanic scrap for the race lead. What a brilliant battle this is. And Max Verstappen has managed to re-overtake our teammate for first place. Ferrari versus Lamborghini is alive once again, just as it was in Monza. And this is turning into an even more ferocious battle compared to Monza. Brilliant stuff, brilliant. Verstappen P1 though, Pourchaire second. But as soon as I say that, he's looking to change that again. Pourchaire down the inside, and these two are fighting so much. We have arrived. Thank you very much, gentlemen. You have fought so much that I have now been invited into this battle. As we take it patient though, as we go to the outside, Pourchaire locks up and he's trying to defend Verstappen, and we're going to catch Verstappen out unawares a little bit round the outside, and immediately we're going to set our sights on Pourchaire. So we're going from P3 hopefully to P1, as these two are fighting each other so ferociously that they did not think about me, as we cut it very fine there. I locked the rear axle. You saw the rear end step out. That was a drift into first place, but we're going to carry on drifting, unfortunately, as Pourchaire applies the pressure. He's really good off this corner, it would seem, because he does the same move he did to Verstappen on me, and he gets fully past us, because I thought, you know what, there's no point fighting him at that corner. We may as well try and stick behind him for the DRS to re-overtake him at the hairpin. So once again, Teo Pourchaire leads this Canadian Grand Prix. We're down to second. Verstappen, meanwhile, he's not even third now. He's dropped down to P4. Tsunoda is up to third place. So the three championship contenders in the top 3 of this race. But for now, all I can do is stick behind Pourchaire, especially because on lap 9, there's a safety car, as someone has gone out of this Grand Prix. I think it's Fittipaldi in the Haas, if I recall correctly, from the message that came up. So the Haas, he's pulled up in Sector 1. Full core safety car. I was a bit worried that this might screw us over, but this is actually too early for the medium tyre runners, which is pretty much everyone else, to come in. So we're not going to get caught out by everyone getting a free pit stop. I was worried that, oh, bloody hell, like, they're going to go on to a set of hards now from the end of the race, but it's too early to make that switch, so all of us are staying out, so it's all fine. All this is going to do is actually bunch us up and maybe give us half a chance to attack Pourchaire immediately, but it will also give the guys behind me a chance as we understeer into the final chicane. That was the worst restart ever. the understeer just came over me, and there was no way I could turn the car. I think a mixture of the cold tyres, the dirty air from Porsche air. So he already picks up a second. We're struggling to get the traction down, so we need to get our head down to get back in a rhythm. Thankfully, we do. But it's lap 18 now. Porsche Air still leads the way. We have now brought it back underneath a second, and we have pulled away from P3, which is still Tsunoda, but you can see he's now 3.4 seconds behind us, just showing that this final engine upgrade has really worked wonders for us here at Lamborghini. But it's well, it was a 3-4 for Aston Martin, but Joe Guan Yu has just pit, so it's Gasly P4 from Piastri, Ocon, Magnussen P7 in the Gulf Williams car ahead of a Red Bull Ford. Perez in the Andretti up to P9, who's yet to make a pit stop. Verstappen P12, he had already pit. Russell's pit now, and has come out just behind him. But the two Ferraris very close together, but they are falling out a little bit in terms of race pace versus the Aston Martins, who were 3-4 before Joe Guan Yu made his pit stop, and now Porsche will make his pit stop. We're going to stay out, though, because my plan is I actually want to go longer into the Grand Prix to try and go onto the soft compounded tyre, because I think if I match Porsche's strategy, I think he's just going to have the advantage over us. He just looks a bit too quick in race conditions. You know, in qualifying over one lap, we had the pace over him, but clearly in race conditions, he's just that little bit better, annoyingly, around my favourite circuit. So Porsche is looking good. He's on these fresh medium tyres. He makes quick work of Kevin Magnussen, and he's going to close up to Ocon and Piastri anytime soon to make that overtake. And meanwhile, you know, we're still going on in this race for another lap. You know, we're trying to extend this as much as we can so that we can go onto the soft compounded tyre. I don't have a fresh set. They're all used from qualifying, so I need to really make sure I can eke out this hard tyre stint, you know, to make that soft tyre worthwhile. But it is also going to mean we do compromise our race. We are definitely going to lose some time here. Even though Porsche is getting stuck a little bit behind Piastri, he is going to be gaining time with this undercut effectively on the medium. So once we make our pit stop, it will look like we've lost out, but we just need to trust in the fact the soft compound is going to be better than the medium. And obviously we know the medium tyre has never been a great tyre for the My Team car, so I'm hoping Porsche starts to lose pace on the mediums once the kind of initial shine and sheen goes off those tyres. But he's overtaking Piastri, and he's now looking to chase after Esteban Ocon. But I must say, big kudos to Magnussen, by the way, because he's legitimately up here, and he's doing very well in Williams. You know, so we'll keep an eye on him. There's going to be a few different cars that's going to be worth keeping an eye on, but right now, locked into this P1 battle with our teammate. We're in now for the soft compounded tyre. So we've stretched that, you know, maybe 4 laps, so that's going to give us just enough tyre wear there to get to the end. But Porsche is so far away from us right now. It feels like there is a mountain to climb, but we just need to put our trust in the soft compound, put our trust in ourselves, really, as well. We had the pace for pole, so we know it's there as we get a bit close to Piastri, and I really wasn't sure where he was going, but he's into the pits, and now we're neck and neck with Magnussen as we get up into P2. The Williams, though, honestly, it's really improved. They must have had some upgrades, Williams themselves, because they've really been much better. You know, Schumacher, having been demoted from Ferrari to Williams, had that amazing Austria race, and Magnussen is legitimately here in P3, by the way, going to the end of the race. So it's up to Tsunoda, Verstappen and co to go and overtake him. So really great job by him, and Schumacher as well in P7 at the moment. But yeah, lap 25, 10 laps to go. I am 3 seconds behind Porsche, chasing after him. Tsunoda at this stage is now closed up to Magnussen, so I assume Tsunoda will easily overtake the Williams here with that Aston Martin of his and get up into P3 to at least limit the damage for his sake in the championship fight. But it looks like it is going to be a 1-2 for AAR Lamborghini. It's just going to be about who's going to win it. Is it going to be Porsche, or can I upset him and get the win that should kind of rightfully be ours from pole position? Tsunoda doing well to limit the damage. Meanwhile, we've got so much fighting going on in the bottom end of the top 10 there. You know, you've got Leclerc, Bottas, Drugovich, Gasly, all very, very close together. Gasly fighting Drugovich to try and then have a go at Bottas for the top 10 positions. And, well, Russell and Ferrari not looking as quick as they were at the start of the race. You know, Verstappen's also fallen away. He's up to P4, but it's not exactly where he was, obviously, leading the race earlier on. As we have now reeled in Pourchaire. It's lap 31. 4 laps to go, and we have finally got DRS on our teammate, and he's a little bit drifty into the final corner. That rear end stepped out. He's vulnerable maybe as we get the DRS open. We're going to go for it. Down the inside. Oh, little bit of contact as Pourchaire defends very well and just narrowly shuts the door on us. That could have been pretty nasty. That could have been a disaster as Pourchaire now on lap 34 locks up in the same place Sebastian Vettel went wide all those years ago in 2011 to give Jenson Button the win of the Canadian Grand Prix. Can I get the win of this Canadian Grand Prix as we're round the outside, but on the exit we've got marbles on our tyres. Pourchaire is still there and he's out-tractioned us. He's so good off some of these corners as he just gets back ahead of us again. We jockey for position at the hairpin. He plays a little bit awkward there. He was kind of trying to push me a bit wide. We had to step out of throttle. We went wide onto the marbles again, and that compromised our run. But we're now back underneath his rear wing. But he's actually got DRS. He's got DRS because technically he was behind us at the detection point. So on purpose, I'm not going to deploy too much battery because he's opened DRS again. There is no point wasting ERS when he's got DRS open and he's ahead of us. So we're just going to play the patient game, even though it's lap 33. Only 2 laps left, but you have to play this tactically when you're fighting your own teammate, when you're fighting someone who clearly is going very well in this Grand Prix. Meanwhile, Tsunoda is P3, Verstappen P4, Joe Guan Yu P5. But look at this, Magnussen and Mick Schumacher, 6 and 7 for Williams. And oh, what a dive! What a dive for Mick Schumacher. Is he going to finish this off? I think he is. What an unbelievable move that is for the German. You know, he could have been absolutely depressed after he got kicked out of Ferrari, but he is loving life in Williams. He's currently ahead of the man who replaced him at Ferrari, who is currently ahead of the man who replaced him at Mercedes. Very, very odd situation. Magnussen ahead of Russell, ahead of Leclerc. Very, very weird situation, but back to our POV. Lap 34, we are going for it. On to the last lap of the Grand Prix. We're going to get ahead into P1 of the Canadian Grand Prix. We were really defiant in our defence into the final corner. We went deep a little bit just to make sure we completely cover off Pourchaire. But now, unfortunately, Pourchaire is the one chasing us, and he's already on the back of us as he did cut the curb a little bit at turn 1, I'm not going to lie, but he's really pushing. I'm pushing as well, as this is it. This is the final lap of the Grand Prix. It is absolutely going to be a 1-2 for this team at Canada. But who is it going to be as we go wide at that same corner Pourchaire went wide at previously, but he hasn't exactly got the jump on us. But you know what? It might be clever driving from our teammate, because now he's definitely going to be getting the DRS on us on the back straight. And the thing is, as I've said, he's got amazing traction here. What on earth is that? How is he doing that? As we take him wide, we lock up, and this is getting very, very close for comfort as we nearly make contact with him at the hairpin, because I'm so desperate to win this Grand Prix. But Pourchaire has the rear wing open. We're deploying all the battery in the world, but it's not going to matter. Can we outbrake him? No! Double lockup. We almost hit the back of him. We have to take to the escape road, and Pourchaire has the traction, and he overtakes us towards the line. Unbelievable. That might have been the best battle we've had all season long. With our teammate, with our championship rival. That might be the battle of the entire season, that will. That was incredible. The stakes were so high, and this was the onboard of Pourchaire, so he overtook us, but he actually went deep into this corner. Look at that! He almost lost the back end. So there was a moment where I could have maybe still won as I came off the runoff area, but I had so much dirt on my tyres, I didn't pick up the traction, and Pourchaire's won it.
Well, that might not have been the finest race in history, but there's no question it was a critical win. So, Natalie, What do you think helped them deliver this result?
I feel consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
A show-stopping performance from the 3 drivers approaching the podium right now. It's been an interesting Grand Prix, that's for sure.
What an insane Canadian Grand Prix. My God, that was a biblical battle with Théo Pourchaire. I'm gutted that he's won the race. I really thought we could do it, but he had the DRS, and that was the killer. But what a Grand Prix. What a fight for the championship. All 3 of us on the podium. Myself, Pourchaire, Tsunoda. Guys, if you have enjoyed it, hit the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.